Hey there, I'm Alan Furstenberg,
And I'm Mark Tucker, and welcome to Two Voice Devs.
Two Voice Devs. Happy New Year, Mark.
Yes, it's a new year. Wow, I can't believe we've hit that time already.
It is that time of year indeed, and I don't know about you, I'm ready for a new year.
Yes, good things. Some good things happened in 2022, but it's nice to move on and kind of close that chapter and open
Head
another
forward,
one.
move forward.
Yep, keep
Yep.
going. Just keep
So
swimming.
just keeps. Thank you. Now I'm not going to get that
Yeah,
out of my head all evening.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're
Um,
welcome.
no, I think that's going to be kind of the theme for this year, though. Is just keep moving forward. We keep
Yep.
moving forward. We'll get through that. We'll get through some of the dark times we've been talking about. Last episode and a couple of episodes back.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't want to dwell on that side too much, but what are the things you're looking forward to?
So I guess maybe as a transition, it'll be interesting to see what Amazon focuses on next year after kind of making this big announcement and layoffs and closing some things down, consolidating. So it'll be insightful to see what starts coming out the first quarter
Well,
and moving on from that, kind of what they're going to focus on.
I think the interesting thing from that is, we saw a couple of weeks back at Jeff Blankenberg's office hours, he had Kelly Wenzel. I think that's
Yep.
how you pronounce her name. And one of the first questions he said, well, so what's happening with the division? And her response was basically, we're still out there trying to make sure we create the tools that developers need to create good experiences.
Yeah.
So it's it sounds like it was a very much a Mark Twain moment of the reports of our death have been greatly exaggerated.
Yeah, well, I'm seeing like on the developer side, I'm getting emails and um, from Amazon talking about this is the great monetization is a great thing to have for the holidays. Kind of late now to really to focus on that, but I think that's still a push of theirs. And recently they have the ability that you can purchase things that you could purchase on Amazon.com via a skill. So that's a form of monetization that hasn't been available. There's even to a certain extent some advertisement stuff that's going to come out. If you have an Echo Show device, it's going to go ahead and show some kind of promos for your skill with the ability to jump right into them. So they're kind of expanding that side of things, and those are available for developers or will be in the first part of the new year likely. And so it will it'll be good to see kind of how that monetization turns into new creativity through developers and kind of what they're working on.
Yeah, I think that's going to be what Amazon's big focus is going to be next year, is in the monetization and the advertising space.
Yeah.
I think that's where we're going to see. I don't know. My guess would be the biggest push at least through the summer when Alexa Live comes in. And I imagine at Alexa Live they'll be giving us more information about other monetization opportunities. That's going to be the big focus, I think.
Yeah. And there's other things, it's I think different things about finding people where they're at and drawing them into a skill experience, which is one of the tenets of widgets. I haven't been able to talk much yet about my work with widgets. You can go to the widget gallery and see some widgets I've created, and so that part's not secret, right? But exactly how do you create these widget experiences? But it should be pretty clear that having something on especially like an Echo Show 15 where it's always there, that's updating, that's something that can pull you back into the skill experience on a regular basis is something that has good potential, and it'll be good to kind of see how things go with that.
I've been getting a lot of people asking me how much I know about widgets from talking with you, and I'm like, you can't tell me anything. I don't know anything. So, there are lots of people that are really looking forward to seeing, to widgets becoming generally available to
Right.
see, so that they can play with it and see what it can do, and increase that discovery and rediscovery, the return value.
Well,
So
and
I think people
it's
are really looking
interesting.
forward to that.
Yeah, I think it's because it's interesting. We've talked about that, the widget gallery is another storefront, right? So whenever a new storefront opens on some sort of a platform, it's good to get in there as soon as you can.
Well, there's a rush for it because,
Yeah.
I haven't played with the widget gallery, but I imagine it's going to start filling up quickly, and
Yes.
it'll become a problem soon to, you'll be competing for real estate.
Yeah, and right now there's right around 30 widgets. A big portion of those are those that are published by Amazon, and then you'll see some that are published by other. You've got Sleep Jar has one for sleep sounds. You have one that's out there for like videos. You've got weather. There's just a number of things that are out there, but you're kind of like, oh, I've got one of these, I've got one of these. And they haven't necessarily had to worry about how the widget gallery has been laid out. Right now, it's just like one big list, but that doesn't really scale much past 100, right? So there's going to need to be some changes, and I would think that once you start seeing those types of changes happening on the actual widget gallery side of things, then that seems to me that would be a good signal that things are going to start opening up, because now they can accept more and deal with a lot more widgets than what's currently out there in the widget gallery. That's kind of my take. Nobody's ever told me that, but I would think that would have to happen before they open it up wider to a lot more developers.
Okay, so monetization widgets, what's the big blue sky thing you think is going to be coming, or you hope is going to be coming from Amazon?
Oh, I think they're going to be pushing smart properties more. I think.
Interesting. Okay.
So, they've got something for hospitality, they have something for healthcare, they have something for like assisted living. I think they're going to try to figure out more on what to do with smart properties is my take. That's because that kind of has built-in monetization as far as Amazon side goes. Just kind of how smart properties is laid out, having to provision devices. So I think more is going to happen in that area. I don't know. It may take a longer time. I'm not sure what type of timeline, but that's an area where maybe they haven't been able to focus. They've been kind of a little bit too broad on some things, and that's one of the things that's still around. So you would think that they would focus more attention on those things that are still around. So that's one thing I think to keep an eye out for.
That makes some sense. The thing I'm keeping an eye on is the Alexa app integration, the integration with your apps. I forgot what they call it already.
Oh no, now I'm drawing a blank.
Right.
Yeah. So the equivalent of app actions for
well, Alexa. It's not quite the equivalent of app actions.
Yeah.
It's more like building Alexa into your app, and exactly how that's being done is I'm really curious to see.
I would think that there's going to be kind of different flavors. The kind of the low-hanging fruit is kind of like what app actions did, right? Is I want to be able to say something and launch an app and get to kind of like deep link into an app. I think that's going to be probably one part of a solution, but I think there's going to be kind of more levels of integrations, some tighter and some looser integrations.
Yeah. I think certainly what was teased at the last Alexa Live was this notion of Alexa in your app, that it'll be conversational in the app itself.
Yeah.
So I can easily see, and in some ways that's easier for them to do than the launching part, because Alexa on a mobile device is already a tricky proposition.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. I'm curious to see where it goes, but that's what I'm looking out for. But I mean, in the same notion, on the Google side, it'll be interesting to see just how much more of the app action stuff we do get to see. We're going to have conversational actions sunsetting this summer. So, before then, I hope we're going to see a lot more attention paid to the app actions. I hope we'll see a lot more internationalization of the built-in intents.
Yeah.
So that, all of the places where the assistant is available now, many more of them will have more of the built-in intents available to them. So that's kind of what I think I see the trend being on the assistant side. As for, so I think that's going to be the big thing that we see there. I don't think we're going to see a lot of other major innovation in 2023. If we're lucky at I/O during the Android portion of I/O, they'll be making more of a big deal about the assistant, but I don't think we're going to see all that much. I think we'll see some, but not a huge deal. But of course, it's also going to be interesting to see exactly what happens when Google launches their tablet, the new tablet.
Yeah.
And the big deal about the new tablet is that it will have a docking station or whether presumably as an addition, that will make it look an awful lot like a Nest Home hub. And
Interesting.
maybe behave a lot like a Nest Home hub. So it'll be interesting to see how much it will take on the role of the assistant and what app actions will look like running on this device.
Yeah.
So that's kind of those are the two things that I'm most interested in seeing what's coming up in 2003 on the assistant side. And I think those are pretty solid things that something's going to happen.
Yeah. So Alan, what do you think on your blue sky prediction for Google Assistant? What do you think?
I don't know. I really don't see too many big surprise. I mean, I know what I want. I really want to see all of the existing home hubs and so forth be able to be not so much have app actions run on them, because that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But see them more brought under the umbrella. I think the big question about all of the current devices is they're all running Fuchsia now. And apparently the Fuchsia rollout was part of what was essential to getting Matter to work on them.
Oh, okay.
So they're all running Matter. Some of them are running Thread. And that's been a big push on both Google and Amazon side. But what else came with Fuchsia? So I think my big blue sky wish is that developers get access to a Fuchsia operating environment that will be able to develop stuff for these devices now.
Interesting. Okay.
Do I think that'll happen? I don't know. I think that's a low probability, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see if it does. And
yeah, I just read.
I'm hopeful.
I read something on like when you just brought up Matter, that it even looks like some of the older Alexa devices are getting updates for Matter. So I think they're trying to go as as wide as they can, I guess, back to as many versions of devices that could be running in people's homes and trying to get Matter everywhere that they could possibly do that. So that's seems to be important from the Amazon side as well.
Yeah, I think so. But again, Matter, Thread and Matter, that's a 2022 story. We're going forward.
We're going forward. We're just swimming.
We're just swimming. So yeah, so that's my blue sky, and that's my hope. Though I think that the other big story is going to be, well, I think there are two other big stories that we're going to see in 2023. And the first is, what's Apple going to do?
Yeah.
You know, because similar to, they've been on board the Matter bandwagon, but they've been kind of quiet otherwise. Are we going to see them releasing their AR VR stuff? Is it going to have voice tied into it? I don't know. That's
Yeah.
a real interesting question.
Yeah. Is this going to be the year that things open up a lot more for developers? It's been something, since I've been doing voice, it's been, not much you can do in the voice world with Apple. And so it's just kind of been out there, and it's doing some of its own 1P first party experience stuff, but not much else.
No, Siri's been, most people consider Siri a big disappointment at this point.
So you said two things. What do you think? What are you thinking about the?
Well, what do you think the other one is?
So I'm thinking that there's going to be more custom assistant stuff happening.
I'm not sure I would have phrased it as custom assistants, but yeah, I think we're
something that's other than Alexa, Google, Siri. I think we're going to see voice embedded in mobile apps more, possibly even websites. And I think there's going to be, at least maybe on the enterprise side of things, companies wanting to own things end to end, and so it'll be interesting to see what other financial organization or whatever retail, it could be almost anything, but to see what they do with that.
Yeah, one of the big buzzwords at the Voice Summit was omni-channel, and I think we're going to see that more and more in 2023. And I think that's really going to be voice as part of the omni-channel is going to be a big thing. I agree.
I think you're right.
I still have questions about what exactly an outside assistant form factor looks like. I'm just not convinced that the phone is it, and I'm not convinced web is it. And once you drop those two, I don't know where you go from there. One of the things that there's a project called Home Assistant. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Mm-mm.
Their big focus was on an open platform way to do home control.
Okay.
So they were doing home controllers for a long time now. And they had some integrations to both Alexa and Assistant. And recently they announced they're going to be working on their own assistant on hardware. So
interesting.
Here's how you take a Raspberry Pi, and here's what you need for it, and here's how you deploy it with Home Assistant, and here's how you put your own assistant onto it. So, that's more of a hobbyist angle, but I'm wondering just how much we're going to see, that take off, and maybe, some of the companies that have been working with Alexa and Google say, well, maybe this is a valid approach as well, and providing that as an option.
Yeah, because there's lots of different companies that allow you to do either on device or in the cloud ASR and NLU, even TTS, the text to speech side of things. You can choose multiple voices. There's various providers that provide wake word. So there are components that you can build things together.
And more, we're able to put some of the basic ASR and NLU stuff local, which is what Home Assistant really is kind of pushing. So I think we're going to be seeing more of those components out there and in consumer devices even.
Yeah.
And that'll be really interesting to see once it happens. Or, and this is kind of, one of my fantasies is not necessarily do it on the same device, but, be able to be tethered to your Pixel device, which has an onboard tensor unit, which can do that for you, or tethered to your Apple device, which has onboard AI to do that for you. So more and more, how much will we be, still relying on an outside component, but that outside component isn't on the other side of an internet connection. It's
Yeah.
on the other side of a LAN connection. That's my blue sky prediction for that one.
All right. Well, we'll see what things get, how we progress through 2023 with all that stuff. But I think it's going to be very interesting.
I think so. So in kind of a parallel technology, we talked about how large language models are like GPT-3 and like Lambda from Google are kind of providing some of that some technology that may be parallel to voice tech. How much do we think those are going to be playing a role?
I think generally, whether it be AI helping to answer questions or generate audio or images, I could even see that moving to generating like video clips. I think there's going to be improvements. I think there's already shown, people have already shown interest in that. Just what was it? It was just a very short time that ChatGPT got to like 1 million users or something
10
crazy
days.
like that. 10 days. And so I think there's obviously interest out there. And in some ways it's it's kind of interesting and novel, which is I think part of what the interest in. But I think there's going to continue to be improvements with just more data than training, and things are just going to get better, and people are going to get more creative on how they can do that and start piecing things together. And it'll just, I think we'll see more and more. Like you could have some sort of like story engine. You can say, I'd like a story about blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden now you have not only a story written, but a like video that goes along with the story or like illustrations. I don't know. There's just could be all kinds of.
There's all kinds of things there. And I think that's, and we're already seeing some of that.
Yeah.
I think, and in fact, we saw, it was just a few weeks ago that Alexa actually unveiled something that will let you tell kid stories.
Yep.
You can ask it to give you a kid story. And that was something that's certainly popular with ChatGPT. But at the same time, we saw that the Copyright Office determined that works generated by an API are not copyrightable. So that throws a big curve in what a lot of people's business plans might have been.
True.
So that'll be interesting. I'm interested to see what Google does in response to ChatGPT.
Yeah.
They had kind of a statement a couple weeks back where they said, yeah, we could have done that, but that's not what people want from us. People wouldn't trust that from us. And that's true. Nobody would have trusted Google if Google did it first. But Google doing it second, people might trust it, at least as much as anybody trusts Google at this point. But I think that'll be the other big thing that we see at I/O this year, is they kind of hinted at some of that last year at I/O, and I think this year at I/O they're going to release something.
Yeah.
How much developers will be able to tap into it, I'd love to know, and I really hope they let us in some way, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's lots that we could do. It does seem that that hasn't happened yet with a lot of these developer tools for this type of stuff. So
no, but on the other hand, I think Google's really the only one in a place to do that. I don't think Apple is there.
Yeah.
I don't think Amazon is there. And Microsoft has the technology, but they don't have the platform.
Yeah. So that's interesting.
That'll, I'm really curious to see where everyone goes with that level of conversational. So I think we'll start seeing that this summer from whoever.
Yeah. Yeah, so something definitely second half of this year will be interesting to see what happens there.
And again, in all of the cases, it's going to be, how is it that I'm going to be able to bring my data and my context to it? in
Yeah.
a way to make these conversations my conversations. And that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there needs to be a lot more, user education on how do I craft these queries in such a way that I get.
No. And here I disagree with you on that one.
Really?
Yes, because if we are getting to the point where we have to teach people how to talk,
Yeah.
we've lost.
Yeah. I think it's still a mystery to a lot of people. So I guess I do agree on the fact that there has to be some training that happens. And hopefully it's in the systems and being able to take the input better as opposed to training the users on how to do it. But
I get what you're saying. And
Yeah.
but I think that's part of what damaged voice is that people went into
Yeah.
voice with the expectation of, oh, I can treat this just like Jarvis and just give these nice open-ended questions to it.
Yeah.
And when they couldn't, when we had to teach them, here is what you need to say, that's when it fell apart because they stopped doing things like they stopped trying to figure out what they could do. And instead were willing to be told what they could do.
What they could do, yeah.
And I think if this new system, if this hypothetical new system that I'm making up out of thin air right now, acts the same way, if it gives the ChatGPT answer of, oh, I'm just a stupid little large language model, then people are very quickly going to say, oh, so what?
Yeah.
It really has to be at the point where people can just toss anything at it.
Yeah.
And that's a challenge.
Yeah, it is. And it would be interesting to have if that was more conversational as well as like, you said this, did you mean this, or this? And
yes.
And then have more of a conversation, asking clarifying questions, being able to like, oh yeah, I like that, but take away this or try this, or there needs to be.
And I think ChatGPT started down that road. It at least has context so you can change what it is you're talking about and narrow and expand and redirect and so forth. But you're absolutely right that if it doesn't know what to do, it doesn't try to guide you in any way towards what you do want to do, to understanding you better. It just gives up. And maybe they're better at that now. They just released some updates, which I haven't played around enough with yet.
Well, and that's the interesting thing too, because whenever I think of like a Jarvis system or like the Star Trek computer, you can say open-ended things, but there could be a clarification. Like the computer could ask a question back that would clarify what you were wanting to do. At this point in time, if we were to do that, conversation of designers would have to design that in,
right,
and developers would have to, work on that, along with just training models and things to add that conversation. If there was conversation built in, and you could give parameters, then there could be some like clarifying, directing stuff that would just happen automatically and not have to code for every path that could possibly happen.
Right. And I think that's what the potential beauty of these LLMs is they'll let us, we won't have to, it changes the nature of programming. It becomes prompt engineering. But I'm not sure anything is quite ready for that point yet.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens in the next year.
Yeah. I think it'll be fun though. Wherever it goes, I think there'll be lots of fun and inventive, exciting things.
Definitely. I'm looking forward to this year. I think there's a lot of good potential down the road. So and hopefully we will be here to talk about it, to get what you think is coming, to hear about what you're working on, what excites you. And we will talk about it this year on Two Voice Devs.
Two Voice Devs. Take care, Alan.
Take care, Mark. Have a great year.
Yeah, you too. Happy 2023.
Happy 2023.